Here are the answers for lesson 3 exercise. Question 1. Hub operates at which layer of the OSM model? Physical layer and layer 1. Both are synonymous. Switch operates at data link layer and layer 2 of the OSM model. These are the answer for question 2. Select question 3. Hub is a dumb device and switch is an intelligent device is the answer. Okay. Question 4. A switch maintains a MAC table, L2 table or forwarding table. All the three mean the same. Hence, the answer is all of the above. Question 5. Which of the following best describes what a layer 2 switch maintains? A layer 2 switch maintains the mapping of MAC address to its corresponding port number. Okay. Question 6. In the below topology, when the switch receives a frame, which field of the frame does it read first? Answer is source address or SMAC field. Question 7. In the network topology below, after receiving the frame, what will the MAC table look like? Obviously, the assumption here is that the MAC table before is empty. And then when the frame is arrived, it will learn the source address. In this case, it is A and the corresponding port P1 and populate the MAC table. So let's look for an entry or a MAC table which has A against P1. And option C gives us exactly what we are looking for, A on P1. Moving on to question 8. Taking the below network topology as the reference, what action resulted in the creation of the entry displayed in the MAC table? Well, in the previous question, we were asked, this frame is arriving, then what will the MAC table look like? Here, it is the opposite. Here we are showing a MAC table and asking the question, what resulted in this? So, if you look at the entries in the MAC table, C is on port P3. So, we can easily say a frame with source address C arrived on port P3. And the answer for that is, correct option is B. Okay. Moving on to question number 9. When a switch receives a frame, it reads value of SA field to make entry in the MAC table. This process is known as learning. So, the correct answers are A and C. Question 10. Based on the network topology shown below, switch has received a frame on port P2 and switch has learned MAC address and updated the MAC table. What will the switch be the switch's next step? So, first step of learning is done. Second step, let's see. What does it supposed to do as a second step? It is supposed to look for the DA field. If the value of DA field is in the MAC table, you forward the frame. So let's look at the option A. Check the value of SA field in the received frame and check if they are present in the MAC table. If absent, create an entry of the. This is wrong because SA field has already been learned, so we don't need to do it again. Check the value of DA field. Option B, I'm reading now. Check the value of the DA field in the received frame and check if that MAC address is present in the MAC table. If present, look for the port number associated with an entry and then forward the frame out of that port. This is the correct answer. Let's still read the option C and D. Check the value of SA field. Wrong, not looking at the SA field. So we can skip it now. Move to option D. Check the value of DA field in the received frame and check if that MAC address is present in the MAC table. If absent, create an entry. No, we do not create an entry in the MAC table looking at the DA value. Okay. So this option is also incorrect. So the correct option is B. Question 11. Based on the network topology shown below, switch has received a frame on port P2 and switch has learned MAC address and updated the MAC table. Which of the following represents the correct next step? So, the question is already saying that network learning part is completed. What is the next step? Looking at the MAC table. Okay. So, let's skip the SA field part and focus on the DA field. DA field is equal to A, and A is present in the MAC table on port P1. That means the frame needs to be forwarded out of port P1. So let's look for an option for that. This is incorrect. This shows flooding. This is also incorrect because it kind of shows that a frame with broadcast addresses arrived, and so we can skip this. And so answer C is the right demonstration of what is supposed to happen. Okay. Moving on to question 12. Based on the network topology shown below, switch has received a frame on port P2. It has learned MAC address B on port P2 and updated the MAC table. So here it is asking the next step, right? A frame arrived, so learning happened, and then as you can see, the frame is looking at the arrow. The frame is being sent out of port P3. What could result in sending out of port P3 is the MAC table should have an entry for that MAC address on port P3. That means the MAC address here is DA equal to C on both the frame as well as in the MAC table. So the answer is correct. Both the fill in the blanks would have C and C here. Moving on to question number 13. Based on the network topology shown below, switch has received a frame on port P2. It has learned MAC address and updated MAC table. So that means don't need to focus on the learning part. Look at the second step. What will it do next? So the next step is, in case the DA is not in the MAC table, you flood it. So check the value of DA field, the receive frame, and check if the MAC address is present in the MAC table. As the MAC D is not present in the MAC table, it should create an entry. We do not create entries in MAC table based on DA. So answer A is incorrect. Check the value of DA field in the receive frame and check if that MAC address is present in the MAC table. As MAC table is not present, it should forward it. So if the DA is not present, you never forward it, you flood it. Okay. Check the value of DA field of the receive frame and check if that MAC address is present in the MAC table. As the MAC D is not present in the MAC table, it should create a copy of the frame and flood the copies out of port P1, P3 and P4. So option C is the correct answer. Okay. Moving on to, okay, let's still go over the question option D. Check the value of DA field of the receive frame and check if that MAC address is present in the MAC table. As the MAC D is not present in the MAC table, it should modify the DA of the frame from DA equal to D to DA equal to all. This is deliberately put here to confuse people who are looking at the question. Switch never modifies the value of SA or DA. So remember that. And don't get confused between flooding and broadcasting. Okay. So the correct answer was, for the previous one, was C. Question 14. Based on the network topology shown below, switch has received a frame on port P2. It has learned MAC address and updated the MAC table. As the next step, switch has performed the action displayed in the following topology. So it has done this. It has received this frame, learned the MAC address, and then, as you can see, this depicts there is a flooding happening. So what has the switch done and why? So select 2. Switch is an intelligent device. After learning steps, in second step, I'm reading the option B, by the way. The value of DA field, and since the MAC address D was not present in the MAC table, it flooded the frame out of all the other ports. This is correct. After looking, and option C is, after looking at the value of DA field, if the MAC address is not present in the MAC table, the switch behaves like a hub. Yeah, just a reference here. Though it is acting at the layer 2, in terms of visualization, you can think about hub also floods the frame. In here, the switch is also flooding the frame. So the correct options are B and C. Question 15. Select the correct sequence for the switch's operation. Step 1 is learning. It is learning, and it does that by looking at the source address. So let's look at the options here which have SA in the first part. So B and D are the ones which are having essay. And then, so now let's, we can rule out option A and option C. Let's just focus on option A and, B and D. Second step is MAC exists in the MAC table. If yes, if no, make an entry of this. So in this case is 2 is no, that is correct here, and 3 is yes, correct. If it is yes, then move to the next step. In step 2, what you are supposed to do for 4 is check the value of DFE, which is here DA. And next is if not present, if no, then flood it, and if yes, forward the frame. So the correct answer for this is option number B. With that, we conclude the discussion on the correct answers of this lesson.